Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matters, a third space business. Now, what's a third space? A third space, well, think about people. People have a home. Okay, that's the first space. But then they spend a lot of time at work. That's their second space. And then the third space is where people generally go that's neither work nor home, but kind of to hang out. Like a common third space is a bar. You know, one of those bars that people just hang out at, a cafe, especially cafes. Any place people go is like a regular hangout spot. It could be, a third space could be a gym, it could be a yoga studio, anything like that. Now, I'm gonna tell you what, third space businesses are very important. They work. Like, let's use a gym as an example. I remember back when I was working at one of the gyms, one of my 1,000 jobs, I had the manager at a particular gym. She said this is a community. And when you think about it, like all the gyms I've been at, they've been communities. They have been communities where you get a bunch of people, they know each other, they hanging out and everything. And yes, a gym. Because you get some people, they go in the gym, they working out, they talking with people. I've been at gyms where I would be in a locker room, just a few minutes, there'd be some people in there doing business. I remember we had a financial advisor, he spent 2 hours in the locker room with a client, just talking business. But it's a third space, it's people know each other and everything. In fact, at one of the gyms I was working at, one of the things, we were a small gym, but one of the things that we were able to hold customers on was the community feel. They would come in, they wouldn't have to show a card or anything. We knew them right away. As soon as we saw them walk through the door, we put their name in, we knew how many towels they wanted and everything. But that was a third space. Like I said, a common third space is a cafe. When you look at these cafes, these coffee shops, what they are really communities. People hanging out there. Because think about it. Like, you ever see people, they be at some of these cafes, they doing their typing and everything, doing their work from it, or just hanging out. That's because it's a third space. They could do this stuff at home. See, the thing with people is people want to be in a community. Yeah, you get a lot of people out here talking about, they're loners and lone wolves. Okay, but that's only a few people. Most people want to be around something. They want to feel like they're going someplace. Like a third space for me was bookstores. I remember there was a bookstore chain in the DC area, Caribou Books, and I would just go and just hang out there. I would just go and hang out. Another third space at yet another bookstore, they had the books, but they always had poetry readings on Saturday nights. So Saturday nights, I would just go there. I would drive up there and just hang out. That's the third space concept. And that's a very important business. Like, if you say you have a business or say you have a property, I would say this: either turn it into a third space, maybe a cafe, a bookstore, and let me start with the cafe. You really might not have to have that much. You don't have to have a whole lot of food now. Of course, you got some food serving cafes, but some couches, some chairs and everything. Boom. Plenty of people who have independent bookstores, they serve that purpose. They have the chairs, people sitting there and everything. It could be a regular restaurant. I remember, especially like a little small family-owned restaurant, you get some people going there and hang out. I remember when I was in Arlington, Virginia, there was a local restaurant, soul food place. But you would have I go in there sometimes, there'd just be some people just sitting there chilling. But it's a third space. So it's like either have that business or rent it out. Say you own commercial real estate. A good tenant is a third space. A good tenant is somebody like a bookstore, a cafe, or something that will bring in a group of people on a regular basis. See, the whole thing with the third space, it's a community. It's a community, and that's the key. That's the key, because most people want community. If you really pay attention to people, people want community. Shoot, even so-called lone wolves and everything. Even so-called lone wolves, right? And let me use the term. You know, I don't like using the term alpha and beta and all of that in Sigma, but you got some guys who call themselves Sigmas. Now they might call themselves Rom Wills, but it's like, well, hold up. Your community is online with other Sigmas. Anytime you're following some of these people doing that, after a while, that becomes a community. Like you have a whole lot of online communities. In fact, there's been some platforms. I mean, that's their whole business, is creating something where people could start a community. People can start a community. It's like that's just the nature of it. You can like monetize that thing. Like even online, like if you have a message board, you still got message boards, or even following certain influencers. After a while, people in the comments become a community. That could be a third space for some people. But the live action third space is always the best. And you need that. If you look at during COVID, when many restaurants and cafes were shut down, that really messed with some people. They didn't have a third space. They really were stuck in their first space. A lot of people were stuck in their first space. In fact, I remember during COVID, a third space became a local home improvement store. They're not paying me to advertise, so I ain't gonna give them a shout out. But you can imagine, because they were still open. You go in there, it would be so crowded, and I would notice the people. Like I would go. I remember I went a couple times to actually get some I needed, and I noticed people be just meandering. They weren't just going in and out like they usually would, like they do now. People were just kind of meandering, talking, everything. It became a third space. And I'm gonna tell you what, you can always make money with that, because I'm gonna get even deeper into it in the next episode. But you know, all this talk about AI, and I'm gonna talk about AI this week. But at the end of the day, people still need to interact with each other. People need to interact. People need to feel like somebody sees them. People want to be around like-minded people. If you have a business spot that promotes that, as long as you can keep the community strong, you can make money. Because you know, businesses like that usually stay in a long time. They stay in a long time because what it is, that third space becomes a community. That cafe, you know what? I ain't sure how much money they'll make, but people will keep coming. People will keep coming. You know, it's like that old TV show from back in the day, Cheers. Everybody knew your name. You know, that was a community. That was a third space right there. So I want y'all to think about that. If you own some property, something like that, boom. Either create a business in there or rent it out to a business, and that can be sustainable at the minimum. I'm saying at the minimum. Maybe even lucrative depending on where you at. In fact, I was about to end this, but I was thinking about it. Like on IG, I follow a couple of pages, and they are like private clubs. They are private clubs, and these guys are making money. Two different guys with private clubs. But what is that? A third space. I want y'all to really think about that, all right? So, y'all know the deal. Let's go make that money.